but spiritual. I mean, we're all going to deal with, like we talked about, things in life. But when you have ongoing stuff, and when you have spiritual oppression or demonic influence, you also do have like haunting stuff going on. It could be mild, but it's usually a combination of it. So now, whether it's depression or split personality, I trust my own experiences before any doctor. So despite a significant amount of research, though, science has yet to reveal exactly what causes schizophrenia. So I don't know. But
we have dealt with people with bipolar issues, and we've had success in it.
Yeah.
And it didn't require any medication, no long drug out.
You want to tell about that one client that we had, that young girl?
Yeah.
She had schizophrenia. No, she didn't have schizophrenia. Bipolar.
And she was taking medication for it and everything else. And we were there for other reasons, and we found this out. And, well, like the way we handle things, lay hands on her in the name of Jesus and cast that right out of her. And I don't know, she's still running around. We see her all the time, and she hasn't had to take medication since.
Yeah, her mom called us in because they thought they had ghosts, which they do have spirits, because spirits do carry these issues with them, and it comes onto us. And so
and we were being younger at the time, too, kind of left her kind of a little more acceptable to what's going on. But, I mean, here she is taking medication. You got to take this, I got to take this, or I'll have this. And then, whoa. So was it medical or was it spiritual? Well, we cured it with a spiritual answer.
Yep. So there you go there. We need a medical book.
So, the drugs, she tried for years. Didn't seem to do much but tame it.
Right. Or numb it at times.
Or numb it, right.
And I don't even think that was working, because she was drinking and doing that stuff too,
Oh, I had some water. I'm drinking.
Drinking alcohol.
Oh. Because we have to drink or we'll die.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But, yeah, so she was fine after we prayed on her.
Yep.
And she stopped taking the medication, and she's fine. So, I don't know. Experts believe that with schizophrenia, it's, even bipolar, it's a combination of genetics, glitches in the brain, environmental
and I believe
triggers.
there might be a percentage of things like that. People can have things that are physically wrong with them causing a problem, but today it seems like it's more and more and more and more. And younger
and younger kids.
It's like if you don't know what's wrong with somebody, you know what? It's got to be this, and here's the pills.
Yeah, it's like, oh, your kid doesn't behave. Oh, ADD.
Yeah. No, it's ADD and ADHD, and they're going to run out of the alphabet pretty soon.
W, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Huh. They just keep adding on. Now, I've got a story to tell you guys. So, regarding schizophrenia, and this is how I started understanding that my hearing spirits wasn't a disease. Now, I had a relative who I'd always known that she was known as the crazy relative, and she was diagnosed with schizophrenia from 3 years old on. When her grandma died, which would be, I don't even know who it would be to me, but when her grandma died, she was seeing her.
That would be your great-grandmother.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. No. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But all I know is she started seeing spirits at 3 years old after her grandmother died. And what happened was she started telling everybody, she's talking to me or whatever. And this was way back, I want to say 40s. So back then, they thought she was nuts. So they put her on pills. And she had been on pills now in her entire life. Because every time she has an episode where she sees or hears spirits, pop the pills. And all it does is numb you. Well, I had known her as the crazy relative. And one time we were getting together for like Good Friday or something. And it was like a dinner, brunch, whatever. And she didn't show up because they said that she was in the hospital because she flipped out or something. So we were all there eating, and all of a sudden I see a spirit in there. And it's like a ghost, and it's like a man. He looks like a cowboy. He's got like this straw hat on and like these suspenders. And I'm sitting there trying to eat, and I know no one else sees him. But it's at the same time you're looking around like, does anybody else notice this but me? And I'm not going to say anything. And
Jesse?
No.
Is that you? Jesse?
Jesse. So I'm just trying to eat, ignoring it or whatever. And
Loner's gotta be alone.
There's a knock at the door. And so my attention goes to the door, and it happens to be my relative. And yes, and she's there with her boyfriend. And they come in and I'm like, oh, I thought you weren't supposed to be here. And she's like, oh, no, I'm fine or whatever. And so they grab plates, so they start eating too. And all of a sudden she drops her plate, starts freaking out. Oh my gosh, anybody see him? He's right there. It's the cowboy. And she's pointing right to where I had seen him like 5-10 minutes before. And I didn't see him anymore, but now she sees him. So they obviously took her away and, but the point is that that's sort of freaky because now I know that what I'm seeing isn't my imagination because there's no way she could have seen the exact same thing, the exact same spot that I did.
Right.
So,
but now you have a certain amount of fear because you see the results of her seeing and admitting it in front of everybody, right. and being afraid to say, well, if I admit this, they're going to be hauling me away.
Exactly. So I didn't tell anybody. And so I fell into a depression, and this is where some depression comes in. I mean, I started drinking alcohol at a very young age. And I'm wondering, do these doctors ever stand to think that perhaps, we're not capable of the proof that exists? Or that we just haven't obtained it yet? Why does it have to be a disorder or a problem?
We live in a time period that we feel that we are so superior to all of history and all of mankind, and we are greater and we have more technology. And no, we don't. No. We rely on a whole lot of computers and stuff that figures things out for us that they didn't used to have. And just because, just because we have the wheel now doesn't mean that they didn't know how to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
And they found a way. There has always been a way.
And I think that it's just we have a lot more resources to get out information. And because we have so many people with so many opinions, they have more resources to get it out there. So pick and choose who you want to believe. We always base our stuff on our personal experience and others' research and things like that. So that's where we're coming from with you guys. Now, with schizophrenia, there's two main symptoms. And it's hallucinations and hearing voices. So the other symptoms seem to follow demonic oppression and like a presence of a demonic influence. There's movement disorder, there's incoherent and disorganized speech, total disorganized behavior, and like being catatonic, like unresponsive. And a lot of that has to do with depression and bipolar. If you look at when we know because we've dealt with people who are demonically influenced, but they see spirits and things like that, and the medical world's going to call it hallucination,
Right.
And they're hearing voices.
They can't explain it, so.
Right. And
you're sick, that's your problem.
Yeah. And in like that clip that you guys just listened to, you hear like the one girl, she heard all these voices, and no one believes her, and it's hard. You can't get it out of your head. And I started having that, but I was able to get out of it because so many other things came into my life, so I was able to block it out. But that's why people turn to drugs and alcohol, because they want to knock it out. So now there's signs of possession, but that's different than, like, if you have schizophrenia, that's a demonic influence, but that's not necessarily possession, because when you have possession, other people are going to be affected by you. So when it's schizophrenia or a demonic influence, it's just the person. But when you have possession, the other people in the room or around you are going to be affected. So you're going to have like a hatred to do anything to do with God. You're going to have irrational speech, supernatural knowledge, and there's going to be occultic occurrences like poltergeist stuff or levitation, telepathy.
Yeah, happens to me.
When it has an impact on other people.
Great for painting the ceiling, though.
If therapy doesn't work, and that's a lot of cases, you'll find a lot of people, there's a high suicide rate because no one can help them. Medication doesn't help or anything. Speaking of medication, we're going to go a little matrix on you guys with conspiracy stuff. Conspiracies. Now, pharmaceutical companies, they're making buku bucks off these illnesses. And they're telling you that you're sick, so they're telling you to take their medicine. So are you going to trust people like that? You wonder, it's like...
Trust me. Want some candy?
It's good for you. Now, according to BBC News, and Forbes magazine said that the pharmaceutical industry generates higher profit margins than any other industry, more than oil and gas, media, banks. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. Now, a recent study found out that some doctors in the U.S. were even receiving payments from pharmacy companies, and that they were twice as likely to prescribe their drugs. What a coincidence.
You know what? And actually, I remember one time I was at the doctor's office, and we were talking about things, and my doctor's pretty cool, and he was being honest with me. He says, this is how this works. He said, when a new drug comes out...
But you weren't in there for schizophrenia or anything?
No, it was for something else.
Okay, just let people know.
This is how this works. He said, when a new drug comes out, he said, they will tell us, we want you to push this particular drug for these certain symptoms.
Makes sense.
Because a new drug always brings in more money than an old drug.
Yep.
It's like anything new is better.
You want to get the name out.
And even if this drug isn't the ideal drug, or even if one of the older drugs actually had maybe known to have some better...
I don't know. Better...
results.
Oh, okay.
Better results. They'll say, nope, we're pushing this drug. This is the drug we want you to push for this, and this, and this. Even if the doctor disagrees, nope, this is what you'll be pushing. The doctors are somewhat pushed into a corner saying, this is what you're going to use. This is what we want you to push. And there you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's all
and
about the money.
That's how it works. And once that ball gets rolling, then they've already got people hooked.
I believe we have a cure for a lot of different illnesses out there that have been pushed aside because it's not profitable to the pharmaceutical world to eliminate cancers and eliminate certain things. I mean, it's just like these diseases like the Black Plague and some of these things that have happened through the recent years that have been coming back. It's like, how does these things come back? Because someone allowed it.
Yeah. It just doesn't re-pop up. It hadn't been there. And
you know, what was the last big scare?
The mumps or something, measles.
Yeah, was it?
I don't even. There's so many now.
Chicken flu and bird flus. And
chicken
of course,
flows.
Birds fly.
Birds flew.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
They fly or they flew. It's past tense.
Oh, so bird flew.
Right. The bird flew.
That's not what they mean, but...
Oh.
You know, I was meant to believe in high school because of all these issues, whatever, that I was bipolar and manic depressive and stuff. And so my mom was like all panicking. So obviously the first thing a parent's going to do is like, we got to get you to the doctor. And, you know, they want to put me on this medication. And through those sessions, they convince you that something's wrong with you.
Sure.
You know, so I'm on all this medication or whatever. And I ended up going off it because all it really does is just numb everything. And it doesn't stop what's going on.
Makes you talk slow.
Sort of. Makes you think slow.
Very quickly.
Well, medication's a big issue. So, okay, so we're going to share something interesting with you guys. In Revelation 9:21.
Fascinating. And this actually is really cool. This is something that we've both learned very recently. And this kind of goes back, I don't want to be the repeat guy, but it goes back to looking at Scripture and taking that Scripture and going back to the concordance of its original meaning.
Right.
Just because we have a King James Version and that's the closest we have doesn't make it perfect. We still have words that are to the best of our ability, were translated, but not perfectly. So you have to go back to its original Hebrew and Greek meaning to understand. And this is a great example.
Well, in Revelation 9:21 and 18:23, those scriptures warn us against drugs poisoning the mind, and they warn us against those who medicate our minds. So we're going to read you these, actually, we're just going to tell you what the scriptures say. But now, in these scriptures, they use the word sorceries. But if you look at the original meaning of that word, it's not sorceries, it's pharmakia, which means poisoning with the use or administering drugs. Now, pharmakia sounds a lot like pharmaceutical. The original meaning is from Greek and Latin, and pharmaceutical means poison from the original Greek and Latin, which goes with the pharmakia, okay? So we're going to, in Revelation 9:20 and 21,
it talks about the last days on earth. It says, the rest of mankind who are not killed by the plagues, and the ones who did not turn away from sorceries.
Which means, you know, the
right, the
drugs.
pharmaceutical and stuff, right. Revelations 18:23 says, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived. Again, the word sorcery comes from the
pharmakia.
Pharmakia.
It sounds like IKEA.
Like a car. Yeah. Poisoning mind with the use of administrating drugs. Now we go back to the thought of what pharmaceutical world is the highest, over oil and gas, all that stuff. And it's like, wow.
They're making money off being sick, and they're the ones telling you you're sick.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear voices? Drugs. You know, it's like, why not look into the spiritual aspect? But they're not spiritual.
Maybe it's your radio turned up.
But no. Could be that. Take the headphones out. Earbuds, yeah.
Right.
But then again, too, we all have to be responsible for our own lives, and I'm not saying kids, but as adults, we have to look into every aspect. And if we're telling you that it's spiritual, and you're dealing with this stuff, look into that.
Here's the thought. We live in a time period where there is more doctors and more scientists than all of recorded history. Right now, living. Than if we take all the ones that have lived in the past and put them in a group. The ones that are living now, there's more of them. That's how many there are.